What's the University of Phonics?
Yeah, phonomics.
Phonomics. It's an online university. Can you learn about to have fun things online? Yeah, you can. Yeah,
Actually, it's a completely IRL university, and there's not even any teachers.
you can. Nature is the best university. Yeah, yeah,
Yes, exactly.
yeah. Let me check if we're live on LinkedIn. Yeah, give me a second. Going live. Are we live here? We're live here. We're live everywhere. So we have 4 minutes until we.
Oh,
But
okay.
yeah, you're going on vacation in a week.
Yeah.
On a road trip, right? No. Yeah? I'm not to
Nope.
remember. Oh, road trip
This
is in
is
August. Yeah.
yeah. This is NYC.
Oh. Oh. So you'll not get back, calm and centered, just full of ideas and okay, that's a vacation for me.
No calm, no centered. Um, I'll be maybe a little rude for 2 or 3 days because I'm used to elbowing everyone. But then I'll soften back up again. It'll be good.
I found a great website about manners in New York, and because we'll go there maybe in October, December, I don't know exactly when, but in fall. Uh,
Yeah.
I want to read that to Tom because you need to know how you walk in New York. You cannot just stand in the middle of in the middle of a street or elsewhere. You have to move, and it's okay. You have to bump people in a way. You have even the way you ask question, and when you're using escalators, also you have to keep on your right. How you talk with your screen, your phone. There's unwritten rule that someone wrote somewhere. uh, yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, fair enough. The big city, man. You got to know the like I don't know, competitive edge that you need to have to get around, like just to like be there.
Just be there.
But
And then
I will share that I have purchased my first sequin jumpsuit for the occasion.
what? What's that? Sequence.
Sequins, they're sparkly.
Okay, I didn't know. I don't know what a
You don't
sequence
know what
part.
it is?
No.
They're like they're these kind of sparkles, but they're
Yeah.
sewn on to clothes, and they're circular like this with a
Oh,
hole.
this where you can. My son have
Yeah,
this where
yeah.
you can move your. Okay, 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 okay. You have a jumpsuit full of that
Jumps jumpsuit full of that.
in
Yeah,
color or in black.
in royal blue.
No way.
Yes.
For real? It's not a joke. It's something you'll
For
wear in you.
yeah, there's going to be an extravaganza, my friend told me. You could pick a
Oh,
color,
okay. So there's a special occasion. Okay.
a special occasion. Yes, she said, pick a color. She said, go for it. But then I was thinking, maybe this could actually transfer to lots of different occasions. You just don't consider it.
Well,
Maybe it's a barbecue outfit. Who knows?
but that's why in the future, if I'm looking at all the movies, people are wearing jumpsuits all the time.
Exactly.
So why not put some sparkle and glitter on your jumpsuit? Yeah, yeah. Star Trek with glitter will be awesome.
Mm. Oh, it'd be so good. Like, imagine doing a cartwheel
Yeah,
with one of those.
I'm wearing that in the shop. The only thing is when you have to go to the bathroom. That's you just get naked in the middle of the bathroom if you want to go to the bathroom.
Every
That's
time.
something I don't
Yeah.
like. You're
No.
naked in public space, and
Yeah.
I don't want a trap behind me. I hate that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't
Like little buttons.
exactly. So the only thing about jumpsuits that I'm pretty sure women kind of love and hate is when they're going to a
Yeah.
restaurant and they have to pee. They just have to get naked.
I know.
Um,
Not cool. It's not cool. Yeah. That's definitely the downside. It's like a whole thing.
talking about not cool, we have a problem of the week that someone is not having a cool solution for that. You want to work on it?
Oh, absolutely. Let's help.
Let's help. So, oh, that's a great name at last. Blue Surfer asked your question and Max a thousand edited it. Oh, yeah. At least now we have a good name.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. What's up, Blue Surfer?
So the question is ask user to check categories of an item and then display category specific options. Okay, let's figure out what it means. So can you want to read it?
Sure. In my web application, I have a form in which the user must fill some information about a generic item, let's say a car. Between all the standard information, name, description, etc., I'm asking the user to check the categories of which the item belongs according to his or her belief. Example, sports car, subcompact car, etc. Now, based on the category checked, I need to ask additional information to the user. For example, if he or she checks sports car, I need to show another form asking for sports car related information, like top speed. Whereas subcompact car category, for that category, the average consumption, for example. Possible solution.
Oh, wait, wait,
Let the
wait, wait, wait,
user,
wait.
oh,
Wait. Before we go with the possible solution, when I see possible solution, it's
that's when you shut down.
exactly. Let's just talk about the problem and go back to the possible solution just to be sure. Do you want? Is that okay?
Sure. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. We can totally do that. No problem.
yeah. Um, yeah, we're doing the diva thing of no. Don't tell me. I'll find the solution myself. Um, so the problem, I feel a generic also problem. So a common problem. I feel you're asking for a question, a checkbox or a drop
Yep.
down, but you need more based on the selection. Just that. And I can feel that in a car. You're selecting something and then you want more. And you could ask for a lot more, not just one.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and how you handle that. And for what I'm seeing, it's there's no drop down or checkbox or whatever. It could be many different UI elements that we can use. But I would assume that it could be a long form. It's not just one question. The form could have multiple questions, and one of this inquiries um, have subsequent
Mm-hmm.
question. So is something that we encountered before, right? A lot.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
Definitely.
So the question is quite the problem. I think is quite simple. As well, we don't know what's the user again, so we have to.
We could just assume it's some kind of insurance or something like that.
Oh, as a
Consumer, sure.
consumer who okay, are potential
As a driver.
as a driver who need insurance, let's say, I need to um, give all specific information about my car so that the insurer have all the information to give me the, the exact price. Wow.
Yeah, it's a swing coming from us.
Yeah.
But most likely domain, I would say, if we're just gonna if we're
What do you
gonna
mean?
guess.
Yeah, yeah. So as a driver, I must provide all specific information. But the problem is specific information. Quote. Okay. So specific information. Okay, good. So, but the problem. Let's add this specific information with subcategories. That
Yeah.
food sub categories. Information. Something like that. Yeah. How can I make it better? Okay. No. Why did I always? I must supply all. Also, It's a common thing. Conditional logic. Conditional logic. I'm saying checkbox, but I'm not sure it's a checkbox. Could be something else. So could be, you know, could be. What do you think it could be if you're selecting a car? Because it couldn't be just cards, for example. You have, cards, type of cars. Click on cards. Could be a
Yeah, I mean, at
could be
a
drop
at a
down.
abstract, yeah, I think I would assume a drop down from a list. You're choosing from a list,
Yeah.
um, whatever format that ends up taking.
Okay. Let's assume it's a drop down. Hmm. Using drop down. Okay. What else?
Um,
Is there
I think
any?
the
Sorry.
oh, I was just going to say quickly, I think our rationale is also that we don't our solution wouldn't show everything and you have to figure out which thing applies to your thing.
Again? Mm.
So with the paper form with like
Yeah.
a government situation, they'll be like, if you said yes to line 28, fill in,
Turn page 6 to fill out
turn to
again.
page 6. So you actually have every single parameter shown because a piece of paper can't really react to things. um so my rationale or my assumption would be that we would not want to display
We
every
don't want
permutation and combination of potential follow-up
exactly,
questions.
exactly. Well, that's where conditional logic is coming to play because we you can have
Yeah.
okay. Do we have to explain anything? Do we have to give any description? Because the thing with drop down is you don't have a lot of you know supporting information. Do you think in that case when you're filling out what kind of car you have? Not
Sometimes
sure.
is, yeah. Yep.
Need to support need to support additional helpful information.
Mhm. I think we're probably both on the same page about this being a good opportunity for progressive disclosure.
Ah.
So I think
I yeah.
um, the little principle about progressive disclosure is usually around like if if it's really like you don't need to know that information if you haven't made choice A versus choice B, then the argument to kind of hide it or conceal it um, is kind of strengthened because the idea there is that you don't overload people with unnecessary information because they already have to focus enough on the task at hand.
Okay, that's great. Cool. So if it's a car insurance and it's drop down, as soon as I hear drop down and things for consumer and insurance, I think about mobile a lot. A lot. It's not
Mm.
maybe not a desktop experience. And drop downs and mobile always make me feel uneasy because
Yeah,
drop
they're a bit
downs
funky.
they're funky.
Well, I mean, if you use the native functionality to the OS, it's
Hmm.
usually not so bad.
But what's the best practice for drop downs? We think for me is more than 7, 8 elements. If you have a lot, if you have just one, two, three, element to choose from, I'm not sure a drop down. So a drop down may or may not be useful depending on how many answer you're
Mm-hmm.
giving. So the assumption would be that there's it's like countries. When you ask for countries, it's impossible to list all of this on one page
Yeah.
using a drop down. more than element in the drop down, let's say. And same thing for the sub categories. Okay.
Well, the subcategories is the drop down, right?
Well, maybe. What do you think?
Well,
What
they're
would be our
the
assumption here?
the person says that they choose the subcategory or the category, sorry, um, of sport car or compact car. So I was just saying that I think that it would be safe to probably assume that there's a lot of types of category that you could choose from.
Yeah. But you ask if the subcategories are drop downs or if the main category is drop down also. Well, we need to make an assumption also because if we think about a workflow, then the first step is choose your car. The next step is having a drop down. We kind of have the solution now. But if it's a form where there's a list and progressive disclosure inside a form, and you don't move to another screen, let's say the screen is adapting to the question. That I think feel like the problem. Let's find if it's maybe what they have in their heads for the possible
Well,
solution.
where are you getting the subcategory thing?
Um, well, now it's about the possible solution where I was,
Hmm.
you know, gave me a hint. So the user fill a
Oh,
form with categories checkbox. So they fill a form somehow. The system, and internalize that, and now the form is adapting with asking more information. So you're selecting something, maybe with a checkbox, maybe with a drop down. Could be that. So let's say you're choosing car, and then what happened is there's something that display below that. This is what the solution for what I've seen. It's not a workflow. It's not selecting something next and then you have something else because
no.
that's it's
Yeah.
it's fixed. There's your
Yeah.
solution. So what happened if you have a list of maybe 10 items you're selecting drop downs or not? Could be checkbox, could be drop down. I know that checkbox is easy solution. You have a checkbox and you have a drop down. But what happens if you have a drop down with a drop down with a drop down, a sub? I think this is where enterprise UX we see a lot, because there's always more than 10 items when you're selecting something. Let's say you add a product somewhere, just the categories and the subcategories and subcategories. This is where it can be intense. That's
Yeah.
why I think he's asking the question.
Okay.
This is my
But I don't
assumption.
think, yeah, I don't really have reason to believe there's a lot of nested logic in here.
There's
It
one
seems like
level.
they're asking mainly about that action reaction between making your category
Oh,
selection and the information, the like
okay.
follow up information being asked related to that.
To
That's what
improve that.
it seems. Yeah, that's what it seems like to me.
So let's say the first level is checkbox and the other is something else. Checkbox also or
Well,
drop down.
that's what the fact that the person wants to use a checkbox, I think is the big sticking point for me because checkbox kind of tells you that there's you can
Not
select
that many.
multiple.
Yeah. Oh, more than one. Yeah,
Yeah.
you can choose. Okay.
So that's a more complicated situation than a mutually
I
exclusive
see.
one choice kind of thing. But they don't actually specify um they do say categories plural to check the categories
Ah,
of which item belongs to uh now based on the but then they say the category checked. Um
yeah.
you could interpret that just a couple of different ways.
Mm-hmm.
With the
Could be a
category checkbox.
subcompact sports car,
Yeah, like
for
are they
example.
mutually it feels like they're mutually exclusive categories just based on the subject matter that I know, but um
Well, it could be an interesting problem in general, regardless this question. That is, you have a question with different checkbox you're selecting, and based on, the combination of your, answer, you have a lot more answer based on that. It can change also. It's not just about sports cars. It's sports car plus this plus this plus this. I need to ask you different questions. No, see what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's an interesting problem because selecting a category and then saying other subcategories kind of easy. I think we can quickly fix that. But there's a formula if you're inputting a couple of elements. You say this, and that, or that mean this, and that. And so how you explain the relationships,
Mhm.
or do you need to on how,
Yeah.
and do you need to display it together? Do you have to?
Yeah. Well, I was recently doing a forms clinic with a design team, and they had a similar situation where they chose something, is a long form. They chose something up here and it actually impacted the bottom of the form. And so people had trouble making connecting the dots between
Yeah.
those two things because they were like a full scroll apart. So
Full
that was sort of
scroll
like
or new
interesting.
page or whatever. Yeah, that's a problem.
Yeah.
Huh.
Okay.
So what about,
So
yeah,
question,
yeah.
do we assume the categories are mutually exclusive or additive? What do you think?
Well, let me
Like,
propose you something. We could work just on another question. Whatever you selected, you have, sub question. I just need to explain to you why you have that, based on something that is additive or not.
sorry, can you say that again? I just had
Huh.
the internet went out for a sec.
So what I'm more interested about is less the less the UI aspect of if I'm selecting this, then there's that, and visually how to represent that. It's more you selected something at the beginning of a page or another screen, and there's a repercussions on this question, and you just need the context of why this is different now. So it could be additive or not. I It's not that I don't care, but it could be just one answer or a couple of answer, but the context has to be bring we have to bring back the question elsewhere. So how you do that, maybe. So you answered that before. That's why I'm asking you more question now.
Okay, so it's like what you're saying, I think, is like the actual communication between that cause and effect
Feel like,
thing.
yeah,
Yeah, that's true. I think, if you assume that, does that logic work?
and
If you assume that people notice the thing that changed, um, compared to if you say, okay, I clicked that, I walked over
yeah.
there, I came back. Um, do I have enough context to understand the thing that's presented?
I feel that's a more interesting problem than just seeing it visually because we can play with that, but we don't have enough information. Is it near? Is it somewhere else in the form? Is it you have to scroll to see the result of your choices. I don't know. So I would love to isolate that. You ask a question maybe a couple of steps ago or the beginning of a form. So here, how can I communicate you that it's related to your previous question?
Okay,
I would,
sure.
I would, yeah. That's interesting. That's interesting. I never seen that happen that often. Filling out a big form of something and explaining that this is related to a previous question. And I would love to work on that personally because it's modular in a way. I would
Hmm.
imagine that in a workflow or in the long form or in a future onboarding process, I ask you that 2-3 days ago, and now I need more information about it, and I need to communicate you why I need more because you answered that previously. Could be different time, different place, even different
Yep.
experience. Maybe it could be you went to the counter to ask some question. That's why I'm asking more question by emails or whatever. That's the context to bring back that would find interesting. Um, what do you
Great.
think?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Sounds good.
So. Basic info, car name. Okay. You're creating the as-is of
Yeah, just the starting point.
okay. So category whatever it is.
So we're not assuming it's mutually exclusive because
I don't know. What do you think? I don't know where to go
uh
with it.
why don't we make it mutually exclusive to start with and then think
Okay.
about if we wanted to think about how we would like grow it if it
Okay.
wasn't.
So let's say, just for
So like,
fun,
it
that
could
I
be
cannot
cards or whatever you want, really.
exactly. So let's put card. What I'll do is, let's say I'm scrolling and as I have to answer something, but I cannot see what you did before,
Okay.
and it could be a check. Check. You selected that screen. Exactly. So now, sub. I want
Okay.
to know more. So that means you're selecting sports car. Ah, oh, okay. And let's say could it be the same interaction, meaning pills or cards you're selecting also at the end? Could be that also. Why not?
Sure.
I'll use the same interaction. So category, no, sub cat A.
Okay. So
Oh,
I might
my mouse.
oh, mouse drama.
Yeah.
You okay?
Yeah, good.
You good? Okay.
Yeah.
Um okay, so I would make a suggestion or an
Yeah.
idea where um basically we have an empty state sort of container that's like this is where the category specific info will be. This is terrible UX copy, so just we can change this in like a second. I just wanted to uh say this idea really quick. Um so if we wanted to be pretty transparent about what you could expect the behavior to be, we could use a empty state to say, okay, this is where the category specific info will be collected. So that could set the expectation potentially that once I hit sports car, I'm going to get sports car stuff in here. Um, could be an idea. We could also play with ideas around like adapting copy within here to say like details about sports cars or like about yeah details for sports car or something, which could respond according to my description in another
We talk
state.
about progressive disclosure, but for what I'm seeing, you know, would would it be something like that? Like you're selecting something and then
Yeah.
this appear? Yeah. Okay.
Yep. So this is prior to selection. So I'm just going to take this out.
Oh, good, 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 good.
Yeah.
So, okay. And what I would love is that this question is elsewhere and we don't see maybe
Okay. So
the
yeah. And
context.
so in that case, we could also, well, I mean, let me know how you feel, but
Well, let's try
we could
something.
also be like explicitly say, I really don't want to say below, but I don't know what else to say. Um,
I see what you mean. So you're helping the user saying, I'll have more question for you later.
yeah.
Okay. And so you could have more question on more unrelated questions, another whatever, and then um, question related to the category. Okay. So we have
If
this
you wanted
one.
to go
Yeah.
super hardcore too, you could be like
Oh yeah. A link and go.
something like,
Something like that. So even before, what I like here is even before you're showing, your the next steps, you're already saying that things changed. You'll encounter changes.
yep.
That's an interesting take. So it's not about how you show it later, or even or you can even and you can even do something like that. To question X, you can do something. Uh,
Yeah.
to,
It's kind
and you,
of, oh, sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
I don't know. I'm just trying to make it italic. Oh, there it is. Just
Yeah. So, like, I think what's interesting here is this just brings up a few interaction design principles that we sort of apply in all of these different ways. Um, when we want to make quality interactions or like high quality interactions, um, representing that cause and effect can happen with UI pieces, copy, transitions, like all of these things can be leveraged. Um, and so here, we were thinking about, where do we give UI feedback or like
mm,
reaction behavior of the interface, like right in context of where you are. So
right in the
there's
context
a
of where you are. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So there's like a few principles kind of being applied here. So we have a in-depth article on empty states, which goes through different methods you can do that, as well as success feedback and high quality interactions. I feel like those are all sort of coming together in this um, problem that we're trying to solve.
I would say that is would be an enough MVP for this question, because we can find a way to explain why I'm asking, this question later. Because you choose sports car, I'm asking you more information. That's easy. We can find, we can do a microcopy. What you're adding here, the UX added magical thing right now is, yeah, this feedback where you are and what's the consequence of choosing that. You'll find it later. So you might have P's. Okay, that's
Yeah,
I
I
love
think what's nice about this is that you're actually explicitly setting expectations for how much more work the person has to do. So you're like, okay, there's going to be follow up questions. So no matter what, I'm going to get follow up questions. Okay. And then how many questions? Or like, can I kind of estimate what that work is? Because the downside of progressive disclosure is that when things keep disclosing, sometimes you're like, okay, this was like 100 times more work than I thought it was going to be.
it. Hmm. Hmm.
Like that's kind of the downside I think of it sometimes is like just the predictability of my time spent and stuff. Like those expectations are just not really handled. So it's almost you could feel like it's deliberately misleading you to do more work and get frustrated. So interesting
I think we have to
tone thing.
summarize it like that. I think that's enough. A good snippet of value to give to other people, and I would leave it as is. And
Great.
we can, most design will understand how to improve, the other things. But this, it's a little bit different, and it's proactive. And yeah, let's summarize it with what you said. I kind of like it.
Awesome. Okay. Should I start from the beginning?
Yeah, start for beginning. Yeah.
All right.
Oh, interesting.
Okay. Blue Surfer, how you doing? You have a problem. So, Blue Surfer was asking us about basically what happens when you check categories and then you have follow-up information presented to users to answer. So follow-up questions. For example, you have this car application where the category sports car would lead to sports car specific questions versus compact car would lead to compact car specific questions. So this is a problem we've seen a couple times in our lives. So we put together a problem statement just based on a little bit of intuition, let's say, and assumptions. So as a driver in need of insurance, I must supply all of the precise information about my car, including subcategories of information, so that the insurer can offer me an appropriate price. So here we wanted to just highlight precision is really important to the overall outcome of this interaction. So we thought about a few things around our assumptions and stuff. We've dealt with this kind of situation before. We see conditional logic and dependencies coming up. Checkboxes versus drop downs. We were wondering about talking
Yeah.
about kind of the limitations of them and where they start to fall down because in enterprise we're always trying to think about like how to break this thing or how to make it the
Mm.
most robust possible. um, Follow-up questions should only be exposed when needed. This is around the progressive disclosure approach that's often taken in forms. So we assume that you don't need to know information about every single choice that you're going to make. You just need to know information about the choice that you just made. So we don't want to overload you with information. Um, we we wondered about the categories being mutually exclusive or additive because that could add a lot to the problem, but we just assumed mutually exclusive for now. Um, but we wanted to challenge ourselves a little bit with the progressive disclosure concept and see if we can be as robust as possible because there are some downsides to progressive disclosure, like showing things on the fly. So we wanted to see if we can kind of mitigate some of those, namely the idea that like this thing just keeps on growing. So when do I actually set expectations on how much work this person has to do?
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
Wonderful. Okay, so we started with a super basic form. We've got our basic info here, and then car information chunk. So a couple of ideas went through our minds about this, namely that in this starting point that we have, um, we can take a couple of kind of interaction approaches. Our first one that we had was around having a empty state just directly below this section to just state that this is where stuff is going to go. So this proactive interaction design approach where stuff doesn't just sort of necessarily happen out of the blue. You have a little bit of warning or a little bit of clues that something is going to happen. But what about the case where we don't have the advantage, the space, or the scroll position that would enable us to just handle it with an empty state? What happens then? So, what we did here is we added a little bit more information as we thought about that problem. So, up front, we described to people what was going to happen. According to your category selection, follow up questions will be asked below. So, that's just the intention behind that is just to be able to describe the action reaction and the consequences of the user's action. When you do select a category, you then have success feedback immediately to where you just interacted. So we have a big check mark as well as a description of what happened. So we have 4 questions added. And then to go to the questions, we have a hyperlink there. So the whole principles around this are proactive communication in your interface, as well as really setting expectations for how much further work the user is going to have to do in this form.
Setting expectations. Yeah. I hope Blue Surfer that we checks all the right boxes for you, and not added too much work. But I love that. I love that. And you'll have here stuff to work on and explain more to your user. But yeah, that's great. Thank you, Kira. This is a little snippet of it's a nugget of a gold nugget of information. I love it. Thank you so much.
Super fun. Thank
Yes, it
you.
was super fun. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So again, you have a problem like that, send it to us. Follow us on Twitter. Subscribe to the newsletter. And subscribe to this channel. We'll have a dev problem of the week every week. Maybe not in 2 weeks because Kira needs some time. But yeah, well, we are here, and thank you for following. See you very soon, Kira.
See you soon. Bye.
Bye, everyone.